Disease prevention has long been the dream of medicine, and genetic science could make that dream come true. For every child born at the start of this century, the hope is that by the time he has grown, we will be able to read every part of his genetic makeup and determine his risks from all major diseases. And forewarned is forearmed, because it's now realized that the great killers of the Western world, like heart disease, diabetes and cancer, all have a genetic basis. Together, they account for half of all adult deaths in the UK. One of the biggest killers among women is breast cancer. Every year, 38,000 women find out the hard way that they are at risk. Wendy Watson was one of them.
My mother died when I was 16. She died from breast cancer. She was 44. Her mother had had breast cancer in both breasts and died from ovarian cancer. So I went to the GP after my mother died and said, could it possibly be hereditary? And he said, oh, no, don't be so silly. It's breast cancer isn't hereditary.
But when Wendy researched her family history, she found overwhelming evidence that the cancer was passed from generation to generation. 9 out of 10 of her female relatives had developed breast cancer.
And I thought, I don't actually want to spend the rest of my life worrying about when I'm going to get it. And I came to the conclusion that the best thing I could do would be to remove the risk as soon as possible, i.e. remove it now, before I've got it.
As the cancer starts in the breasts, the only sure way of preventing it from spreading is to have the breast removed. At the age of 35, Wendy Watson underwent a preemptive double mastectomy.
What I did isn't right for everybody, but it was absolutely right for me. Absolutely. And I went into this having opened my own eyes and looked into it for myself, and I was very comfortable with what I'd done. I was supposed to go back 6 months later and have reconstructive surgery. I didn't because I couldn't decide what size to be. And 10 years on, I haven't got a clue what size to be now, and I can't be bothered either.
Wendy had her operation without knowing whether she had actually inherited breast cancer or not. The evidence, though compelling, was only circumstantial. The promise of genetic science is to take the guesswork out of disease prediction. And this is the hope for Wendy's daughter, Becky. But it depends on finding the genetic cause of breast cancer. Our genetic fate is sealed the moment we are conceived. In that fusion of the egg and sperm, the first cell has 46 chromosomes, 23 from the mother and 23 from the father. Making up each chromosome, wrapped in a tightly packed bundle, is our DNA, the code of life. The DNA code is made of 2 matching strings of chemical bases, joined and twisted into the famous double helix structure. Each of the 4 bases pairs up with a partner on the other strand, A to T and C to G. These bases then arrange themselves into bunches, tens of thousands at a time. These bunches are our genes. It's the pattern of gene activity which makes all the different cells in our body. But what makes us all different from each other is which genes we inherit from our parents. And that is largely a game of chance. When a couple have a child, half the mother's genes and half those of the father are combined to make the new baby. We all hope our kids will be dealt a good hand and inherit a good combination of genes. Every time we conceive a child, the genes get reshuffled into a new and unique combination. The reason our children are like us is because of where the genetic information comes from. But there's no way of knowing quite how each new generation will turn out. For most, it comes down to things like our height, being short or long-sighted, an aptitude for maths, and so on. But occasionally, nature makes a mistake. And a child inherits something from its parents that is altogether more serious. The problem is, with tens of thousands of genes in the human body, how do you find the one that's gone wrong?